The motion be agreed to, and I give the call to the member for Grey.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, let's get real. What I've increasingly becoming frustrated with in relation to this government is the obsession with announcements. Record funding this, record funding that, without any focus on outcomes. We as legislators in this place should be focused on outcomes, not announcements. And that is certainly why I came to public life. Because ultimately Australians don't live on announcements, they live on outcomes, they live on results. In my electorate, I represent one of the most diverse communities in the country. That diversity is something that I'm proud of, but it also comes with real challenges. I have communities facing entrenched disadvantage, generational welfare dependence, and some of the lowest education outcomes in Australia. In fact, Grey is ranked 146 out of 150 in Australia, and that is simply not good enough. And yet, despite all this so-called record funding, the data is going backwards. The evidence is going backwards. I have schools where attendance rates are sitting at 66%. 66%. And that is not just a statistic, that is a warning sign. That is thousands of children missing out on the most basic foundations for a meaningful life: education. Because education is not optional. It is a precursor to opportunity, to employment, to dignity, and to breaking cycles of disadvantage. If attendance is failing, if outcomes are declining, then no amount of press releases about funding can mask the truth that the system is not working for regional Australians. What I want to see from this government is not more announcements, but accountability. Show us the outcomes, show us the improvement, show us the data that proves lives are actually getting better. Because if we continue down this path, where success is measured in how much is spent rather than what is achieved, we will not only fail these communities, but we will entrench their disadvantage even further. And in doing so, we make our economy less productive, and we place even more pressure on Australians already struggling with the cost of living crisis. Speaker, Labor talks a big game on education, but the reality on the ground is different. Regions are being left behind. Have any of those opposites been to these remote communities or regional communities in Butte, Kadina, Port Augusta, Canibba, Coober Pedy? Costs are rising fast. In regional South Australia, the cost of an independent education has hit an average of $242,000. Even a free government school in regional SA now costs parents over $95,000 across the child's schooling life, when you add up uniforms, camps, transport and associated costs. These numbers, of course, consider 13 years of education, but even divided per year, it is significant, especially when you consider these are not elite schools. These are not boarding schools. For these schools, when energy prices skyrocket, when electricity is up 40%, gas up 42%, these schools have no choice but to ask families to pay more. They are paying for Labor's inflation. And it's not just schools, Speaker. Childcare is struggling. In the electorate of Grey, again, we have the worst access to childcare in Australia. There are 23 council areas in my electorate with almost no services. This causes parents to leave the workforce and make our local staff shortages even worse. Because, Speaker, today you need 2 incomes to raise a family, and if there's no childcare in your local community, it puts pressure on your local businesses. Recent data shows that in September 2025, over 3,600 childcare services were charging above the fee cap. That is almost double what we saw in 2022. And this is not the fault of our local providers. It is the result of Labor's economic mismanagement. After 4 years, this government owns the economy, but we have the highest inflation in the developed world, and it is being driven by decisions made here in Canberra. Government spending is at a 40-year high. This keeps inflation high, which keeps inflation rates high. Speaker, regional families cannot afford another 4 years of Labor. We need a government that understands the tyranny of distance. It isn't just a phrase, it's a line item in a family budget that is currently in the red. The coalition is focused on the basics, cutting red tape, beating inflation and getting energy prices down. We need support for our regional schools
And
and
the member's
students.
time has expired. I thank the member for Grey. The question is at the